Rolling. Welcome to this in our living room here with Eleanor Austin that will introduce herself in a minute. So I love hosting those. I call this case study because it's always for me very important to bring the women who are in our world at Social Media Love to come to speak to you about how they use the work we do. So everybody is different. Everybody needs something different. And I trust that every time there is a woman coming to our community, she's going to grab whatever she needs the most. So today it's Eleanor that I'm bringing to you. Eleanor has been a very loyal, students of us, very committed, very engaged. You made a lot of friends through the Social Media Love. We've been together, I think it's going to be our third year, I believe.
Or
Together,
more. I think yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So before I introduce you, I let you introduce yourself. I want to bring to your attention that I hear a lot of questions around ROI, return on investment. And so I made this word the word of my month. So you're going to hear about ROI the whole month on social media from me. And in my world, what ROI means is this, is what happens when you choose to focus your attention on visibility in sales every single day. And what does that do to your online presence, one, and to your in-person presence? Some of you know Eleanor, she is the queen. I call you the queen of networking. She is in person everywhere, where like we live in the same area in Canada, in the east part of Canada. And you will meet Eleanor in a room in person, and you will meet her on LinkedIn because she's the queen of LinkedIn too. So today it's really a case study around what we focused on in 2025 in the last 12 months. And what did it bring to Eleanor in terms of credibility, in terms of, processes, in terms of business, and in terms of identity as well? Because as you know, we're always about identity here. So the first thing that I want us to do is first introduce yourself, Eleanor.
Sure. Thank you. I am Eleanor Austin. Very pleased to meet you. And I am a LinkedIn leadership branding coach and corporate workshop facilitator. I work with executives and entrepreneurs, helping them accelerate their path to trust and path to business growth by creating with them their standout story profile on LinkedIn and their LinkedIn strategy.
Boom, just that.
And so much more. Because we both do that. Like that is, you have tangibles, but really when you talked about return on investment and we talked about identity, I think that's where you and I both work with clients and where there is the greatest ROI. And when I say that, I think we can say return on identity, because it's from our identity that we are able to work with people, we are able to connect with them and help them achieve their best. And it is the same with you, even more so in terms of when I think about the way we get there is different. And what you have helped me understand in terms of that identity is through your work, Magic with Social Media Love, which is a specific program. But it's through that identity that we're able to create the success that we want to create for ourselves and for our clients. And so that's where I would start in terms of my story of working with you, is that identity part, because we call that work becoming a magician, and it's because life can be a mystery. And we help untangle that mystery, or through the work that you do, we untangle that mystery so that we know, who we are, which is what personal branding is as well. I mean, it's, first of all, you need to know who you are. And so through that work, in terms of the program that you offer specifically, we learn about identity, who we are, and the visualizations that you take people through. I also make that part of my program with clients, where we I hire you to help my clients have that kind of experience that I have found so beneficial for me. Because when I look at 2025 and now in 2026, where I am is I have gone to the future. I have seen who I am, which is what happens through the visualization. And so what I'm doing is really closing that gap between where I am and who I see myself as, that wise, calm, generous, loving 85-year-old, and bringing her into my today. So I can be that for, my clients. So I can be that for the relationships that I have in my personal life as well. So that's the beauty of the program that you have, because it works both on a personal level and a professional level. And really the two are integrated.
Totally agree with you. Yes, yes.
And I can go into more and more detail because of the retreats that you do, the VIP experiences, as well as, the group programs and the one-on-one.
Yes, and Eleanor, we worked one-on-one together, as well as, you're part of the community as well. So, and I love what you say, like the business and the personal, because, and this is where maybe I'm going to ask you that my first question, so that someone who is not part of our world yet can identify to when do you know that you need that type of support, basically. So if you can, how we do this, right? I even teach how I interview Eleanor right now. We always try to go back to like 12 years from before now, 12 years, 12 months.
I was willing to go 12 years.
You were starting to count. Where are we going?
That's trust.
So January, like last year, basically, when we started January 2025, which was not a real start because we worked another year before, but there was another level of work. So if you go back there, what was working at the time that you felt, that was working for you, but there was some part of it that felt heavy or inconsistent, and that's why you said, oh, let's continue for another year together.
Well, for me, because I had worked with you before, and really the reason I started work, I'm not going back 12 years, don't worry. But when I first considered working with you one-on-one, what I saw was an offer that felt like it would be business in a box. Mm-hmm. And for somebody starting out, even though, I'd had 2 careers previously and had already, ventured into entrepreneurism, being an entrepreneur is totally different than being in corporate.
Oh, yeah.
Night and day. And so I transitioned in my career from being a journalist to being a marketer, a market researcher. I remember that learning curve. It was very steep, and I feel very fortunate for the people who were in my life in terms of my business or in terms of my corporate life, because I was able to learn what that was, how to become a marketer, how to become a market researcher, how to uh, create influence, how to do the work, all of that. So this again is another transition to becoming an entrepreneur. And so when I looked at your offer, I thought, okay, business in a box. It's got a lot of tools in it. But what it became, not just in that first year, but in the next year, there are more tools that you bring into that box. There are people that you bring into that box. You bring in other specialists. So we get to learn from the people who you know. And when you hire a coach, it's not just that person who you're hiring. It's all of the coaches, all of the experiences, all of the training, all of their contacts, talents that they already have that's being brought to you. So that's one of the very rich things, is that you have continued to bring more tools into that box. So 12 months ago, where I was, is that I was looking to grow my knowledge of processes in developing better sales processes, and specifically moving into doing work with organizations in addition to doing work one-on-one. And I do a lot of workshops, which I love to do. And so what I would say is that in that toolbox that already had wonderful tools in it, we added more tools. And we went from kind of, I guess the experience is, not only do you have business in a box, but you have a coach on your shoulder. Because all the way through that, while you're learning, practicing, doing, and taking action on what you learn, there are times when you need that one-on-one support. And so learning that sales process, knowing how to approach it, what to say, pricing, all of those things. When you're an entrepreneur and you're working on your own, it's really difficult to feel like you have the breadth of knowledge necessary to make all of those decisions, because you're making them relative to the market you're in. And so when you bring more people into that circle who have knowledge of that market, you're gaining not only the confidence, but you're confirming that the rate that you're charging is a very good market rate. What you bring to the table, your skills, your talent, your expertise, all of that is being reinforced. And so you go into those sales conversations with not only the confidence, but also the knowledge of how to do it. It is not necessarily rocket science, but unless you know how to do it, it can be tricky, and it can be inefficient, and it can be not successful. So that's where I feel that you gain the confidence, you set up those calls, you have a process, you're confident, being that person who is confident and comfortable in those conversations. In fact, you're making the other person comfortable. I'm in this process. What we learn is not to be attached to the outcome. It is their decision. So I'm not trying to convince anybody.
Yeah.
And that there's so much beauty and joy and freedom in that. We understand what their needs are. We have the proof that, yes, this is exactly what I do and have helped many people be successful with. And I'm offering this to you, and it's your choice. And so that's just like one of the little beautiful gems that you get in this kind of training.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very freeing. So
Yeah.
that's one of the big differences, I think, when I think about the last 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
The other is through the retreats that you offer and the VIP day. Holy, if you want to feel special, have a VIP day with Angelique. um, because you are going to feel like a queen. She calls me the queen of networking, the queen of LinkedIn. You will feel like your own queen. Might as well just bring your tiara. In fact, I'm sure I have a couple.
You have one, remember?
Yeah,
From 2 years ago, I
yeah,
think.
I have it right here. It's pink too. But yes, though, like when I say that it's not just that you're feeling special, you get a lot of work done. Oh, that just felt so great. Um, and in like I'm speaking of the one that was last January. What an amazing way to start the year. It was at the very end of January. I think like the last weekend of January, or the last week of January, maybe even the 31st. But I went into the year feeling so great about the work that I was about to embark upon. And the other thing is in these retreats where you have more time to do more things and to really ground yourself. As I said before, that really, as entrepreneurs, we are the asset. It's we're bringing ourselves to the table. And I'm very grateful for what emerged from some of those retreats that we did. The learning is deep. And as I mentioned, it's both personal and professional. But one of the things I will always, always be grateful for was something that came to me during one of those visioning exercises. And it was significant in my personal life. And it made my year. In fact, it made the rest of my life. It
Mm,
was that profound.
yeah.
And so that's the beauty, is that you get to be who you are. As one of my favorite quotes is attributed to Mark Twain: be yourself because everyone else is taken. So through this process, you really you become grounded in who you are.
Yeah.
And in the work that I do on LinkedIn, what I say is that your profile isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. And so when we know who we are, what we do becomes much more joyful, easy, and aligned.
Yeah. So talking about words, Eleonora, thank you for sharing all of this. So from what the importance of getting support, building the sales system, and being comfortable in it when it's in action, in motion, right? So that you always rely on that system. You don't have to question anymore. You know where you're going, and it's also your prospect knows that you're the leader of the call or the process, and they know where to go next. So that, and then from an identity perspective, like to make room for those moments where we get work done, but also we go inside and really identify what our real heart wants first, right? And dancing with personal and business, because they always go together. When one is high, sometimes the other one is here. And then how do you who you are in the gap, and having that kind of thread through the work we do. So hopefully I recap. I try to get the glimpse of what you beautifully explain. So my question to you now, Eleanor, is if you go back to the beginning of 2025, um, where you are now, how would you describe in 3 words your visibility? And when I say visibility, you know that because we're swimming together every day. But visibility is, yes, your online visibility. It's also how visible you are towards yourself and visible to others, visible in your truth to others, right? So how would you, if I ask you for 3 words to describe the beginning of 2025, what would be those words?
It's interesting because when I think about visibility, your definition of visibility it takes each letter of that word and it means something different. I remember last January going through each of those letters
Yes.
and where whether it's your voice or your ideas, all of those things. Where I was then is different than where I am now because these are some of the other tools that you have in your toolbox. You are so adept at visibility tools, like using StreamYard to do lives. That was when we did our first live, was at that VIP event.
You're right, Eleanor.
Yeah.
It's been a year. Let's celebrate this.
Yeah.
It's an anniversary.
Yeah. Yes, that was my first live.
Yes.
And then
we
did them monthly, which was really fun. And but the other thing is, those are some of the tools that you bring to help with visibility. In some of the group work or even the one-on-one work, you create false deadlines that work really well for me because I'm somebody who may be addicted to perfectionism. And so, as a communicator, I want to make sure it's communicated well. And so when we take, I need deadlines in my life. I'll just put it that way. I love deadlines. They work for me. And so I remember many times since then when I became visible because I had that deadline and have to think quickly, which I love, and act quickly, which I love. So if I think back to last January, the kind of the before picture is that in terms of what visibility means for you, I think even though I probably had a voice, I didn't feel like I had a voice. I, of course, am a person of ideas. I have plenty of ideas, but I am more focused in what those ideas are. And I think that the other thing is that I am much more aligned. It's not one of your words in visibility.
No, but it's about you, how you feel about visibility. Yeah.
But I think that so I guess if I think back to what they would have been in January and how that has moved.
Yeah.
Maybe, and I don't want to say the opposite is unaligned because it's not that I wasn't aligned.
No.
But I'm more finely aligned and attuned.
Attuned, yes.
To what it is that I offer and the benefit that it brings.
Yes, I love it. So focused. You were looking for more focus, and which you really got this year.
Right.
You were looking for a window to the online world, and you found your niche with live on LinkedIn. Congratulations, because it takes a lot of courage to go there, right?
You know what? I didn't realize how much fun it would be.
Yes.
And you get two journalists in the same screen together.
Oh yeah, we should probably share this because those women you're talking to, are journalists. So it's not that we don't know what it is to speak in public, to the public, to thousands of people. But when it's time to talk in your own name about the real deal that you bring to people under your name, this is another story. There is no protection. There is no CBC. There is no all those broadcasting company we were working for, right? This is Eleanor Austin. And when Eleanor Austin speaks, it's from her heart. Nobody else backs her up. She is that woman. So that's why I say it's very courageous for female entrepreneurs to show up in their own voice and build that muscle, so that you had your Eleanor monthly every month, and then you had testimonials as well. We were doing live, but basically your mode of communication became the live function. Just
video, like
incredible live videos, not just videos, live videos.
Right. Well, they're fun. Well, the other thing that was really significant were the case studies that we did with clients that were very much like what we're doing today.
Yeah.
They were, clients who came on and talked about the live like this. They were courageous and they told the stories of what it's like, because when we think about a brand, it's the experience that others have of working with you.
Yes.
And so it is really important. And that was a huge benefit that your knowledge of your tools brought to the experience of this year. Yes. Because that speaks to a person's credibility.
Yes.
And like you say, when we're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, they're buying. People do business with people who they know, like, and trust. They are buying the person who they feel they know, like, and trust to help them do what they need to do or want to do.
Yeah. So you and I work on different fields. So one of them being, everything around offers and positioning, like what do we sell, right? And how do we position it? So if you could kind of point out, what did we clarify, you and I working together in your money-making offers that made selling easier? I know you said the process, but is there a specific part of the process that you would like to bring that really served you the most, and that you're going to keep that for, rinse and repeat, basically?
Well, I guess two things come to mind. One is the sales conversation. Secondly, the offers. Because one thing that I've really enjoyed working with you on in terms of the offers is it's very tactical. It's very specific. We figure out what it is, break it down piece by piece by piece, the amount of time that takes, the commitment on behalf of the client, what are we asking of them to arrive at this outcome? And that has been very, very helpful because it's documented. And that is another thing that I'll mention, is that among these tools in the toolbox, it's documenting things like that, whether it's, using Gmail tools or whatever, those ideas, I guess, become tangible because they are written out, and then I can always refer to those. And then if I want to adjust, I can. Or if I want to create another service that is part of that one, I have the framework to be able to create offers based on specific needs.
I love that you say that. Yeah. And so what, like from your perspective, how much having this at your disposal and feeling aligned with it, how much did it influence your side of the story when it's time to sell, like your confidence approaching the prospect, but also how people responded, whether it was a yes or a no or a maybe. How
Mhm.
did that influence you, did you find?
Well, I think that it takes the guesswork out
Mm.
of those conversations. And because of that, you go in with a sense of knowing, and being also very open. Like, there's people might think those are difficult conversations, but that is because I think sometimes people put stress upon themselves because they perhaps try to be in the head of the other person. But if we understand what their needs are by asking a certain series of questions, um, we're confident what we need and want to address. And then, secondly, I guess, because we go into it with a structure and with that sense of knowing, it becomes a conversation that's easy for both.
Mm.
And they come out of it, whether they say yes or not, they come out of it feeling good. And usually they've learned a lot. Sometimes they've learned what they really need. They think they know, but in the conversation, they've discerned what they really need.
So true.
Yeah.
That's so true, Eleanor. Yes, I can see that on my end of the work as well. Yes. Would you be able to give an example of a conversation that got easier because you had that clarity, like, of course, without naming anything, or a thing that you now use and it's your thing?
I don't know if there's something that's specifically my thing when we do these, but I think that it just comes down to, there's that Stephen Covey line, begin with the end in mind. You know what the end looks like. There's no, I mean, obviously anything could happen in a live conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I go into those conversations feeling good at the beginning and at the end and all the way through. Because one is that, sometimes when people start to talk about money, they might become quiet, or they might become nervous, or their tone or their volume might change.
Yeah.
But when you know how to do it, when you're confident in the process, there isn't any of that. You're aware of all of those transition points, and you just sail through. I mean, it's not always perfect, of course. These are generally people who you haven't yet developed a relationship with. But generally, I'm a person who loves to get to know people. I'm curious. I'm interested. And so those conversations are just that. They're conversations. It's not a difficult conversation. There's a certain sense of knowing. Like, I remember before, oh my gosh, I would teach them. I would tell them all about this method. I would help them solve their immediate problems. It was a coaching session, free. And then what I learned is that when you do that, that's without this process. When you do that, they walk away with so much information, they want to apply it before they make a decision about, oh, well, what does she need to teach me next?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was that, understanding how to do that. I have a sister who was very entrepreneurial, very successful in what she did, and applied those same skills the same skills in sales to her volunteer work in raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for organizations that she believed in. And so it's one of those things where when it becomes part of you, you do it naturally.
Yes, I so agree with this. Like, because there is nothing that I share with the women who work at Social Media Love with me that I don't do. So I know like the process we put in place with is similar to mine, because you're a coach, you're a consultant. So it's we sell through conversation mainly, right? But I know that for myself now, if someone comes to me and said, let's have coffee and let's spend the afternoon, I'm like, this is not my process. But you don't know until you don't know. And then it's one thing to know, is how to bring that self-leadership that someone who's not accustomed to this will maybe not understand why you don't want to spend the full afternoon at the coffee shop talking about the project.
I used to do that too.
And so, yeah. And so now I hear you and I'm like, oh yeah. Like again, that's an identity. Like it's building a business that serves you and your clients, because we don't help our prospect by spending 3 hours with them and then getting them even maybe more confused or more like, not confused, but like having this image that is settled. Because when we speak like this, we are like, we're the experts, so it seems easy. But for the other person on the other side, they still need the support. But they might not feel they need it anymore after 3 hours.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I do. I think that it complicates the process, because they in their own business have certain processes, and they would not deviate from that process because they know what's effective.
Yes.
And so when we, and there's nothing wrong with getting together for coffee and all of that. Yeah.
Eleanor still wants to go for coffee.
Yeah. I go for coffee, I go for lunch. But when it comes to this kind of a conversation, this works well, and it works best.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So I love that. Now you have your step-by-step way of doing things. It feels good and aligned to you, and it fits in your calendar. That's another thing we can spend time on, right? That's how to schedule your calendar as well. So that we, actually 2 days ago I was doing that. I was like, I realized that my calendar was not reflecting anymore how much sacred time I want to spend doing that sales activity, talking to people, like getting to know them before we hop on a sales call. And I was like, oh my God, there is no more room for this. So because we are energy, like this is what's happening. Nobody gonna book with you if there is no room in your calendar. Right? It's not just about strategy and tactic. Is can you receive more?
Right. No, it's so true. Because if we aren't convinced there's space in our calendar or space in our lives, even if we don't say anything, they will feel it.
Exactly. I love it. So we talked about offers, we talked about sales. I would love to touch a little bit to how we acquire new soul into businesses. So lead generation, a very tactical term that I find I'm like, how do we bring the bees to the flowers? Like, so I would love to hear from you in 2025. What were your 3 lead sources, and how did your online presence and your in-person presence kind of completed each other?
Well, I am a person who is very active in the community, and so I do show up in person, lots of places. I belong to boards. I go to a lot of networking events. Some are networking events because they are, say, Chamber of Commerce networking events, or they might be a number of organizations that have their own networking events. And actually, I'm on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, so that's another reason why I go there. But I used to go to them anyway. I really enjoy going to networking events. I also go to a lot of other events, perhaps fundraisers and stuff like this. But again, I go because I want to. I believe in the organization. I believe in the work they're doing. And so, or, go to concerts or, whatever that is. But it's by being visible in person that is one opportunity to have conversations. And those kinds of conversations do happen. They happen intentionally, but they happen sometimes by accident because you happen to be in the same room.
Yes.
Then the other part is, of course, LinkedIn is my chosen platform. And so by being, I say visible, but by engaging on LinkedIn, by being my authentic self on LinkedIn, whether that's commenting or whether that is by posting, then you become top of mind because, a person has to be both aware of whatever the so-called problem is or whatever it is they want solved or whatever it is they want to be better in their lives. They need to be aware of that and then be aware of who is it that can help them do that. So that kind of visibility develops, what I would call your brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have that awareness first, understanding of that good match, or so it seems, then you also need to put out a call to action. And so by having content that invites people to get in touch with you, they feel it's okay to reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so for lead generation, I guess for me, it is both. And again, lead generation sounds like it doesn't have a heart. Doesn't perhaps even sound genuine. But, I think the work that we do, where we start with who the person is, we need to make sure that it's a great fit for them, it's a great fit for us, because you're going to be spending time together. And so I think by being visible, that relationship develops before you even say hello in person necessarily.
Exactly.
And I remember a client saying that the work that we had done together in terms of positioning him and his story, that not only did it attract the right people, it repelled the right people.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so when we show up, we are actually streamlining our own process. We're helping people understand, are they the right fit?
Yes. And if they are, which door should you take first?
Right. Yes. And actually, I was, oh, darn, I cleaned up my desk, but I have I have two little books with people's names in it. One that you had given me a few years ago that's pink, I guess a couple of years ago, and a more recent one just at a retreat that you held this year. That's more of a sage color, and I love that it's sage because ça c'est being wise en français. La sagesse,
Yes.
sage, so wise. And I think of that 85-year-old self, my me, when I'm 85. She is that wise person, and so I put in there wise people who I would love to work with. And that is a beautiful thing in and of itself because you're thinking of these people.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We call that our love list.
Yes. Yeah.
And let me tell you, if you're watching this, if you're on Eleanor's love list, you will be working with Eleanor at some point, shape or form, because this is so magical. The minute we put a name, we carve a name on a piece of paper. And I've seen it many times from my own business. life brings those people to you, and most of the time it's in a way that you could not have planned in your sales process. It's
Right.
okay, that's how, okay, sometimes it's faster than you think,
Mhm.
sometimes it's later, but it's here. So it just,
Mhm.
I cannot wait for your sagesse green book to come to fruition. I cannot wait to hear the stories. And there is another story I would love for you to share, because I was so happy for you and proud of you. Um, and the the very first time that you and I we worked on creating kind of an experience for people to experience you through your uh, LinkedIn challenge. So I just want to bring to the forefront of all of you watching that it's not because you're online that everything happens online. So that day, most of the people who registered to your challenge, they hopped on your online challenge from a very specific in-person room. This is why it's so important to have a sales process and the lead generation process that makes it easy for people to jump when they're ready to jump. So I would love for you, if you don't mind, to share, like, how did you bring, I think it was over 50 people, the first batch of people who registered to your challenge. They were in a room with you. So
True.
can you bring that, not only, the facts of things, but also how did it feel for you?
So that was very interesting. And sometimes when you have a coach, you might not know exactly what you're stepping into. So I was speaking at a conference, and this is the beauty of having a coach, because I was creating a talk that I hadn't done before, or not in that shape and form. And in my conversation with Angelique, uh, we came up with, I guess, 4 wins that could happen during that talk. And one is that you could win by being in the room. And another is that you could win because we're going to do a draw. And another was that everybody would win if they entered the draw, because then they would also be invited to a 4-day challenge that I was doing, which I actually turned into 5 days. But a 4-day challenge where they could come and learn. And I had no idea what I was getting myself in for. It was amazing, though, let me say. So Angelique and I both have had journalism backgrounds, mine in radio. But when you're doing this kind of thing, it's kind of like being in TV. But, I had produced many shows before. Like, I have 15,000 hours in interviewing experience, and I don't know how many hours producing radio shows. Probably about half of that. Anyway, what we did together was we produced a show every day. And when I say a show, it's that you're showing up in this kind of environment online, on video, with a program that is interactive, that has very specific learning objectives for each day and for that kind of week. I had never done this before. I'd produced a million shows, well, not a million, but I'd produced many, many shows for the public on public radio. I'd never produced my own show with one other producer. We started it with music. I had my second screen up here, and had, what we were going to go through. Had a new presentation every day. We did a draw every day for prizes, and it really was a huge accomplishment. And I still run into the people who were there for that and hear, everything that they learned. And then, of course, the relationships that you develop, and then they turn into business relationships as well, or client relationships as well. It is, or advocates, people who will advocate for you when you're not even in the room. They're sponsoring you in that sense. Because in this experience, you do develop that deep trust. So you've got the no, you've got the like, and you have the trust. You develop that over time. So that was a highlight, a business highlight of the year, to have done that. But what went into that beforehand was all of those people who entered the draw, then Angelique put them into a online system. So now I actually also have a mailing list as well, because they've agreed to that. And from that mailing list, you can create newsletters. And as somebody who is a LinkedIn aficionado, from way back in 2010, when I held my first workshop, and one of the people in the workshop thought that she would just delete her profile the next day. It was just, a board exercise we were going through. She would follow along doing this board exercise. But, as good intentions go, she didn't delete it, or not fast enough, because she was recruited for an executive position clear across the country and took it. So my loyalty for LinkedIn goes back, 15, almost 16 years now. But I do not own my own, those people belong to LinkedIn. They are members of LinkedIn. All of my connections, my more than 5,000 connections, followers, they are not in my database. But what Angelique helped me do was create my own database. And when you have your own kind of platform in that sense, that's where the pure gold is. That's where you can build your relationships, nurture relationships, regardless of what platform you're on, regardless of what happens on that platform.
I love how you describe it. And I want to say also that you also chose to take a piece of that challenge that now is something you give to people who want to come into your world as we call that a lead magnet. So
Right.
to make it more heartfelt,
Yes.
it's a piece of resource that is very important. It's actually how to create your headline in a very strategic way on LinkedIn. So if you hear this and you want it, just reach out to me or Eleanor. She has it. But that's now something she can give to anyone. And she didn't do extra work. It was part of that massive production. I agree. It's like there are many steps to it, right? That's why it's cool to be supported when you do those things, especially the first time, because you can rinse and repeat. Everything is ready again if you choose to go again at it. But you now have this gift you can give everyone, and you chose to do that. So I wanted to share that story, because number one, it was really fun to see you as the host of that show, and how you went, and your energy was beautiful, and seeing people coming back every day, and it's normal. Like anytime you do something that is 3, 4, 5 days, there are some drops, and your people were coming back. So that was just beautiful to watch. And I just wanted you to hear yourself say the story, because as you know, this is how we anchor who we became, who we become, right? So congratulations officially for this.
Well, thank you. And I guess, having been a producer, I so appreciate your role as producer through that. And when I say that role as producer, it's the person who's kind of running the tech part. It is the person who has that overall vision And as a coach as well, it's and a producer is also a coach, but it really did model that relationship of a producer on a show, because you have an understanding of the content, you have an understanding of who you're speaking to, you have an understanding of the flow, you have an understanding of the technical parts that need to all come together at the same time, or like this, one after another. And so, yeah, I really, really valued the expertise that you brought to that, because I did not have it. And it was a huge learning going through that. And yeah, those kinds of things give me energy. So I not only learned,
Yes.
it was exciting.
You were so on fire. And those music you were choosing at
Oh,
the
that was so
beginning was
fun.
so fun.
Yes. Yes. And introducing music to other people. Like, the first day someone said, oh, I've got to find that one myself. And then the same with this other one that I just happened to find, because the music was based on a theme. So I'd go looking for music or pieces, music I'd already known. But that music was really fun as well. One was all about your story, and another was all about there's nobody else but you. And so those speak to my themes in terms of branding. So they were fun, relevant, and lasting in terms of memory, because though, like, all of those different creative elements that you and I bring to the table, they build the experience, but they also build the memory of the experience.
Exactly. Totally. Wow. Okay, Eleanor, I want to be cautious of time because you are so generous with your time. I want to end with a rapid fire question.
Oh,
Are you
okay.
ready? Are you okay? So if we don't think, we just go with what's
Okay.
in your heart, okay? So what are the top 3 needle mover of 2025?
One is sales process. One is being anchored in who I am and who I will be when I'm 85. Bringing those two together. And one is the tool chest. Like, I have all these tools now for me to use.
Okay, love it.
Yeah.
You served dozens of clients in the last 12 months. What made that sustainable? Because you're building the machine and you're serving the clients. How make you make it sustainable?
Well, first of all, when you're working with clients, it is a partnership. So it's because of them that it works. And, when you set out a plan, you work the plan, but sometimes things come up. And so being flexible, whether, whatever the circumstances are, it is being open to that as well, because my motivation is not the number of weeks, but the output, what they learn, where they end up. And so part of it, I guess, is the relationship and the commitment, the flexibility or the openness to making it work. And also, it is, when you think of your calendar, to build time in that's for you. Like when we did our calendar exercise last year, like 12 months ago, the first thing you said to put in your calendar are the days for yourself. So put in your holidays, put in the time that you need. The other thing is structuring the time so that it works, for me or for you.
Mhm.
Because I remember first year thinking, oh my gosh, I just felt like I was going all the time. And then one of the things that you had recommended, and which we did, was we said, okay, well, this day will be for this type of work. This day will be for this type of work. This day will be for this type of work. So when I'm booking meetings, I'm booking them on a day where there are other meetings, and my mind set or my mind is on that kind of activity, switching from person to person, doing those kinds of things. When there are days that I need to write, I give myself large chunks of time because I need that to think,
Mhm.
need it to reflect and produce and all of that kind of stuff. When I'm doing coaching, that's another kind of energy. So, helping understand that we are the CEO of ourselves, of our companies, of our agendas, so that we can make it work for all of us. And by doing that, it can be sustainable.
So how would you advise a woman entrepreneur listening now? Like, how do you do all of what you just mentioned, plus, you know, building the business, expanding, streamlining some processes? How do you make that sustainable to keep doing what you said, plus that part in the background that you and I did?
First of all, I give credit to my husband.
Here we go, John.
Yes, he looks after a million things, including feeding me, including bringing lunch or breakfast. Or no, I leave the office to go for dinner. He said to me one day, he says, "Is there a magnet in that office that's holding you there?" um, but in all seriousness, I think it's understanding all those components. It's understanding how they work together, which are the tools that you bring, and then helping me or helping an entrepreneur understand how they work together. And you keep everything very well organized. I
Okay.
love that. Thank you.
So because I want to mirror that to you, and because as you say, when, as a solopreneur, we are in charge of putting the offers together. So you and I, we restructured some of your offers, we restructured some of your pricing, we streamlined your sales process. Now from an internal
Oh,
aspect of things,
yes.
how can you hold space for all of this? What helped you hold space for so much transformation and elevation? Because what I see, like I see an elevation of your offers, of the way you position them, so tell me more about this.
Well, I would say that's the work that we do, what I referred to earlier as Magic with Social Media Love,
Mhm.
because there's a group program that you have, and in the one on one program, where we learn tools and techniques like breathing. I am so big on breathing. I never had been that person before. I had heard and understood if you're stressed out, to yawn or to breathe deeply 6 times, or in fitness we would end with like a small little yoga thing that did some breathing. Yoga thing. You can tell I'm
A
a yoga.
yoga thing.
Um, but those and the, kind of that somatic thing that we are we have we have this gift of a body, and our body has many parts. Our understanding of who we are relative to the parts of our body, and like our breathing, our heart, our feeling, like as a journalist, it was like, or even in marketing, what you knew, your opinions, your knowledge, your expertise, that's what was valued. What I understand now is there's more than my brain that we need if we're going to become a successful entrepreneur. We need all of this. So understanding how to breathe and when to breathe. I heard your alarm go off while we were here for breathing, every hour, and uh, and so much more in terms of, we have thoughts. We are not our thoughts.
Mm.
The learning about ourselves is fundamental to being to having a business that feels sustainable.
Yeah.
And I'm using words like feel now. I never used to. But it's so true. Like if we tap into what we're thinking, and if we tap into how we're feeling, and you'll even encourage us to say, well, where are you feeling that? Where did that hit you? And so it is moving from operating from only our headspace to engaging our entire body and our understanding our environment, like getting outside, and not on a snowy day like today, but putting your bare feet on green grass.
I do it sometimes on the snow. I'm Canadian now.
Haven't done that. Well, no, you know what? Well, I did go to a spa recently, and I was outside in the wintertime on bare feet. So I just not sure that I really grounded myself on that in that second. But yes, it's all of these tools. I keep talking about the tools in the toolbox.
Yeah.
Those are the additional tools that go beyond business, starting with business basics and elevating those tools. Part of what's in this toolbox are universal learnings about the universe and our
Oh,
place in it.
yes. Oh my God. Okay. Eleanor, thank you so much. If there's someone watching and is considering joining us in our community, what would you tell that person?
Now, baby, run up. Well, I guess what I would say is that it's a very supportive community, and the women who are there are not just there for themselves. And there's a core group of women who, if depending on what part of it you join, but say for instance, if you're joining the amplifier, there's a core group of women. And regardless if you've been there 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or day one, as there was today, a person who was starting in this group for the first day, everyone is supportive. We learn from each other regardless of what stage we are, because we bring our whole selves. There's always something to learn from every person we meet.
Exactly. I love that you say that. Yeah, some of the women entrepreneurs, there is all range of revenues, all range of season of entrepreneurship. Yes, because
and
it's
types of businesses,
yeah,
service, product.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's a good. Thank you for sharing that, because that's important to know. So all this to say, when we go back to the ROI, I think it's clear that ROI doesn't happen by mistake. It happens by a very focused, aligned feel in your body as well, yeah, so that you don't just swing it, you make it happen step by step. And that's kind of what I find that you demonstrated today. And I like that, because ROI is not random. That's my point here. It's built, and it's built with grace and compassion and patience,
Mm-hmm.
and being available to receive help
Right.
feedback, and trial and error, right? And being
Mhm.
willing to go there without judging yourself.
Right.
So I thank you for sharing so many examples of what you did and how you use the work we have here at Social Media Love in your own scenario. Is there anything I didn't ask that I should have asked, Eleanor?
No, but just as you said that, I think that's an important point to reflect on. ROI has a very specific definition, an equation, even this that you feel that you did it or you didn't. Like I was looking at a scorecard today. Was it met? Was it exceeded or not? Like it seems very specific. What I loved about the way you work and what you just said about ROI is that, first of all, it's more expansive. It has a larger meaning, that it has a specific process, the tools, framework, and yet it feels like a living, breathing organism because we come at it with grace and compassion. It's not, did you meet it? Did you exceed it? It's that we do it together with grace and compassion.
And we still track everything.
Oh, it's all tracked.
Right? It's everything is tracked. And that's because, as you said earlier, like our mind wants to show us all the like what if
Mhm.
it goes wrong,
Mhm.
but when you track
Mhm.
everything, then you have the proof of which direction you're going, and it allows you to also focus on the energy of keeping going rather than guessing does it work or not, right? So
Mhm.
I love that you say that we are tracking like a boring
Excel,
Excel spreadsheet.
got it right there. Get your Excel spreadsheet.
Like Eleanor and I, we share screens. Like, okay, who did this? Like, it's very manual.
Yes.
But this is the only way which way you're
Mhm.
moving. There's so many
Mhm.
pieces that we move, right? And
Mhm.
it has a ripple effect. So as you said, since you kind of rework your sales process, the ripple effect is that now clearly who's coming,
Mhm.
not coming. It's
Mhm.
guessing work. You said it removes some guesswork, right? From
Yeah. And over time, what you start to see is, and this is an important metric to have, is what is the, I don't know if you want to call it the success rate, the win rate, or whatever of those sales conversations,
Mhm.
because it becomes a data point for learning.
Yes.
So from that, are we learning who are the people to have those conversations with? What are the ones that worked and why did they work? What can we learn from the no's and from the yeses, and tracking that rate over time?
Yes. Long term. Business is a long game.
Mhm.
And you got to go at it for minimum 90 days in my world and more before you throw up the towel, right?
Yeah, I like the 90-day sprints.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Eleanor. Like, I think you and we could have actually a show that could be called 24 Live. We will not miss content.
Yes. And we would stay on here 24/7.
I would have no problem to guarantee that to our producer, whoever was hiring us. We got this.
No problem. Call me.
Thank you so much, Eleanor.
Thank
And
you.
I'll see you backstage.
Yes, and thank you very much.
And if you want
Really,
to reach out to Eleanor, please reach out to her on LinkedIn. And if you want her headline optimizer, a training that can really brings up your LinkedIn to a next level just by doing that, I think it's 35 minutes training. it comes with a worksheet, and then that gets you, in the vibe of Eleanor. And if you want more, then you'll have more.
Thank you very much, Angelique.
Okay.
Honestly, it has been such a pleasure working with you. And I would not be where I am as a coach and as a person if it weren't the fact that we have worked together. And what's cool is that I knew you I think it actually was maybe back
2017, I think.
Yeah, or maybe even 2017. Okay, and you were working on something that I was also working on, through someone else. So it was somebody who we had in common. And what is remarkable is you are a person, and I said this to somebody the other day. I said you're a person who walks your own talk, and I have seen your growth in those many years. And so when it comes to finding a coach, I know one of the questions I was asked for the very first coach I worked with was, are you coachable? And so if you're looking at finding a coach, it's good to know that you have a coach who's also got a coach.
That's so true.
Yeah, and you have
So
many
coaches.
And you have a number. as do I. So it's really it's been wonderful to see your growth over the years. And as a client, I benefit from the coaching you receive and the growth you have developed in your own life.
Yeah.
And the tools that you've brought into the toolbox as well as the people that you've brought into the toolbox.
And I agree with that. Like anyone who invests in a coach, they invest in the investment of the coach, basically, right? And for every coach that gets supported, we don't have to do it alone. Never.
No. What a feeling. And that's what you have in corporate. You have a team. You have people that you collaborate with. You have people who are who've been where you've been.
That's so true.
And
done this comparison, yes.
Yeah. And so what we do together is we create that environment of support for entrepreneurs that a person is used to having in corporate.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. What a beautiful way to close. Okay. Bye.
Bye.